Carl, does it feel different for you second time around from the first time? Just, I mean, did you gain anything from that in terms of?
Yeah, experience. I got a more clear role for what they want me to do, and the play also. I'm very confident. I feel very good. I feel very happy. I'm in a great mental space now. So I'm just blessed to even have the chance to play basketball.
That was Patrick Royce in the background there, just trying to duck the elbow of Karl-Anthony Towns. Would you say what would your evaluation of him be, that he's in a good mental space after?
I would say my evaluation is, damn, am I fat and short compared to standing down. I mean, he could have rested his elbow right on top of my bald head. It would have been a nice resting spot for him. Yeah. But I expect him to play pretty good against Memphis. I think he got himself all work. First of all, I think he's crazier about the officials when he's playing at home, and the fans help him feel up the wrath of the officials. But I was certainly not impressed with him, but I wasn't impressed with the way the Timberwolves were prepared by their coaching staff to know exactly what defense they were going to face. They should have had some better stuff to run than they ran, don't you think? I mean, I don't think that was Chris Finch's proudest moment to not have, okay, Cat. They knew exactly what they were going to do. Batum was going to come down and beat on him, and the other guy was going to be. By the way, he could have got that Zubac could have been called for a defensive technical about 27 times. He just stood in the lane, but Cat obviously didn't handle it right, and I don't think it's a good plan when you get in foul trouble and you have 3 fouls to say, okay, I'll show them this time. I'll make them call this one too. Yeah. They're going to, going to. And it's like he challenges them. That fifth one, when he charged twice, and he's just they let it go the first time because they knew he had 4 fouls, and then he does it again just to be defiant. He's defiant. And I guess when you're 7 foot tall and like that, you've been defiant your whole life, and he's just, I don't know. He's that's the way he's wired.
My favorite thing that came across the internet after that game, I think it was yesterday, someone put together like a 2-minute highlight hype video of Scott Foster, and like Scott Foster, slow motion flexing on a charge call, just gearing up for the playoffs.
You know what's great about the NBA and the officials, though? The Minnesota fans are convinced that Cat got screwed, for want of a better word, on a Good Friday. But the Clippers fans have some stat where their record when Malloy and Foster both worked the game is 8-18, and they look at the final totals of free throws and think the Clippers got robbed. So it's nice that both sides can think that they got robbed in that game. But I don't know. Cat, I guess I go back to this, and I might write this for tomorrow. Where would they be without him? I mean, it's easy to bash him. Yeah. But they wouldn't have to be worrying about this, right? You wouldn't have to be worrying about, can you beat Memphis or could you beat the Clippers? I mean, he just had his best season. This was his best season that he's had here. He might have had, 8 of these meltdown, goofy performances during the year, but he played. How many did he miss? 4, maybe 3 or 4.
I'd have to look, but he was out for COVID protocol at one point.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe he missed a few more, but he played and he was good. And the other night, and I asked Finch about this, and he wouldn't take the bait. But Charles wants him to go down and stand in the post. Yeah. Well, that would be the most defeating strategy you could have, because he's a 7-footer who can shoot threes and go around you. That's just, he can't muscle you out of the way. He doesn't score by muscling you out of the way. He scores by being one of the most adroit big men in the history of the game.
Also, they did lead the NBA in points per game offensively, and the Clippers was not their best performance. But I'm willing to let it play out for a few games before I say that like they're using Karl-Anthony Towns wrong after they just led the league in points this season.
No, I don't. Yeah, right. And you know what? When you look too, you got the very erratic Russell. You have Anthony Edwards, who's fabulous. Fabulous. He's back in the groove. You got Patrick Beverley playing 38 minutes. He can't shoot. He makes slows. Every time he takes a three, I say no.
He's got the lifetime fitness jumper. He's got the lifetime fitness jumper.
He can't shoot. It is amazing they've scored as many points as they have. They got to be doing something right. And the main reason they've led the NBA in points is Karl-Anthony Towns. So.
Prediction, Patrick. What do you think?
They will go back to maybe 7. I think they'll go back to Memphis for Game 5 tied 2-2. That's what I think. But then I don't know. A lot of it depends on Towns' foul trouble as they try to rebound because Memphis just has set a world record for most offensive rebounds, right? They crash the hell out of the boards. And the way most NBA playoff games are officiated, they'll be able to use that strength going to the board. So that'll probably beat the Timberwolves eventually. But they're gonna need Jared Vanderbilt to be a fantastic rebounder, and Nas is gonna have to play some more than normal, and because they're gonna have to try to keep him off the boards, which you really can't do. So.
Our guy Pat Beverley, by the way, had a really active 24-hour period after the celebration. He got fined $30,000 by the league for egregiously inappropriate language, and then
he told them to take their rear ends home, right?
Take their ass home, and then is
that egregious language?
Well, he went on Instagram Live and said some other things that were
dropped the F-bomb at the press conference.
The NBA office hates him, don't they? They just hit him for 25 because he yelled at a referee.
But he's going to make it all back from Bud Light, who offered him a Bev Light can of beer that says "Take the ass home" on the bottom of the can.
The NBA will probably fine him for that too. They hate him, and I can see why he has a short shelf life. Don't you? He would.
Honestly, I'm here for it. Like I guess I see why. But
I think you made a very good decision to extend him for 1 year.
Well, he's also like 33, right, or 32 or something.
Yeah, and the old line about the hockey coach, which can be transferred to Beverley. He's got a 4-year contract and a 2-year act. I think, and the Clips kept it for 4 years and couldn't take it anymore. And I would think he'd drive a coach crazy.
How do you break up with him without him wanting to stick it up your you-know-what when he leaves, right? Like, is there a way after a couple of years to say, thank you so much, we love you so much, we're going to go in a different direction, but don't be offended?
Yeah, the Clippers, the Clippers paid him for 4 years when he'd been kicking around, and now he's mad at them too. But that's what motivates him. He's not driven by the most talent in the world, that's for sure. He's a great defender, and he did change their defensive approach. Although, don't you think the last month or 6 weeks they've been giving up 120 way too often? So I think it'll be a lower scoring game. Memphis scores a lot of points too, but it's going to be more of a grind playing a rough, tough team like them.
On Pat Bev, the Grizzlies gave him away. Jarrett Culver and Juancho, right?
Juancho Hernan-Gomez.
Gomez.
What a heist.
We're traded to the Grizzlies. If he wants to be pissed off at the Grizzlies.
Were they going to spin him the whole time, or did they?
Who cares? Tell Pat Bev.
Revenge series. Let's get it.
The other night, though, I looked at their box. The Memphis didn't play anybody, right? Because they were locked.
Yep.
Jarrett didn't start, but he played. At last I looked, I'm not sure the game was over. 15 minutes, no points.
Yeah,
Jarrett.
Whenever Judd wants to have a parade for Gerson, I think of trading up.
It didn't work.
Stiff, because trading up to get a guy that we just saw in the NCAA finals single-handedly lose the game and hand the championship to Villanova, and the Wolves couldn't wait to draft him. They did 8 clearouts for him, and he got 1 basket, and you end up drafting him.
It's amazing.
1.
He is. I mean, he was a 6th overall pick, and
Yes.
he's. I mean, I think he has another year left on his contract, but he's just gonna be playing in Europe in a year, right? There's no way he plays in the NBA beyond.
Well, the other thing about
next
Europe too is they like scorers. He might be playing in the Philippines.
Yeah. Do they have a league in the Philippines?
You know what? It's nice there, right? Nice weather.
Yeah.
Good climate.
Yeah, it's fun though hopefully hopefully they'll win 2 of the first 4 and make it interesting. Get you pumped up for game 5 back at Memphis or something.
Hey, Pat, sad news. Tom McCarthy, who got sick, and there was a GoFundMe page for him that I saw a couple nights ago, passed away yesterday. Okay. And then we find out this morning that Mike Bossy has died.
Yeah, it's terrible. Bossy, 65. You told me he liked his heaters, so that's probably the number 1 cause of death among 65-year-old hockey players: cigarettes. Because the relaxing they did between periods was having their smokes. Savard and all those guys, but Bossy, what a machine he was, man alive. That team, those teams are. They won 4 straight cups, so they're obviously well honored. But if you, did the North Stars win? Did they win one that year, or was that 4-0 in the finals?
They won 1.
They won 1.
They won. I think it was game 3 here at the Met Center.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was more of a mismatch than the 91 with the Penguins, who also they won 2 in the North Stars won the opener in that one, but they had no chance against. I saw that, by the way, I watched that from the halls of St. Mary's Rehab Center. That's what I was. That's what I was drying out during that final. So I watched it down at the end of the hallway. I could have gotten lung cancer there because I was the only guy.
Oh God!
In the history of St. Mary's Rehab Center from I'd say late 60s to 80 that didn't smoke.
Yeah. You got to replace it with something. Yeah.
It was who's winning the game, fellas?
Can't see the TV.
It was unbelievable. But that Bossy's tough. But I was talking to Dino, who's turned into just a great guy. He owns a club in Detroit, Dino's, and he does okay. He said they just remodeled during COVID and came back, and they're doing okay. And he's really an articulate guy. But Tommy McCarthy was drafted at age 18, was 19. He went right to the North Stars, started playing 10th overall. He was drafted ahead of Gretzky in the major juniors. So in other words, when you were coming out, 16?
Yeah.
Judd, he was drafted before Gretzky. He was so good. Big, rangy kid. And so he's in his 2nd year, and Dino was the same age, but he'd broken his leg in the juniors. So the North Stars, Louis signed him as a free agent. And he joined the team in December of 80, was his first year. And then he roomed with Tommy McCarthy. He moved in with Tommy McCarthy. I would like to be able to. This is a 20-year-old North Stars in their heyday when they're going to go to the finals. I'd like to interview that apartment. That's what I'd like to interview.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'd always wanted to interview Smalley's townhouse that he rented to Chili Davis and Scott Erickson. I would like to interview the apartment that 20-year-old Dino.
What did Chili Davis and Scott Erickson like to get after it in the 90s?
That's famous story on that one is
you don't know the story.
I was like 6 years old.
Famous one on that one is the Smalleys move into a nicer big house in Edina, and they rent it, and the twins come home from Florida, and the little old lady who lives next door, right? I think it was 2 townhouses attached, and she comes out and Chili or one of them's walking up with a boombox on her shoulder, like this enormous boombox, and she comes out and says, "Oh, you two young men, I sure hope you're going to be as quiet as my former neighbors."
Oh my gosh!
And Chili or one of them, or Scott, I think Chili says, "Oh yes, ma'am, we're very quiet people. We don't plan on making any noise." And they got this 50-pound boombox. That is where they had the. I think that was where they had the post-game celebration in
91.
91, right? 90. He was on the 91 team, right?
So like after the champagne celebration at
they
the
went out
Metrodome,
there
and
and
then
basically destroyed Smalley's townhouse, and at 6 a.m, Gladden asked Clayton where the bat is that they broke, right? Snap the bat. Yeah. He wants the bat, and he says it's in the garbage can. I put it in the garbage can, and Gladdy says, "We have to get down there." And I don't know who drove down there. Hopefully Clayton was a little better behaved than Gladdy, but they drove down, went in the tunnel, and found the bat in the garbage can, and Gladdy's got it in his house out out of his farm out in St. Bonifacius. But Smalley's. The little old lady next door heard some noise that night. That's for sure.
Poor gal.
In the townhouse.
Scott Erickson's stories from the summer of '91 are legendary, including Google Scott Erickson and Bullwinkles and bathroom, and you will find one of the most legendary stories in Minnesota sports folklore.
Not an easy guy to get along with, but he was a handsome brute.
Oh, he was a great looking dude. There's no doubt about that. Clooney-esque in the looks department.
Very fine Good Friday conversation we're having here, too, guys. That's
you mean like your trip to the Yankees Twin Series when you wouldn't go to the adult film on Good Friday because that even violated your ethics?
Yes, my dear friend Bob Fowler, who wasn't a terribly religious man, wanted to go see Behind the Green Door in Times Square because Good Friday was off. And I said, I probably don't follow the tenets of my Irish Catholic mother like I used to, but I'm not going to Times Square to see Behind the Green Door on Good Friday, because if there is a place where you have to take account of your life when you perish, that will be a bad mark on your resume. I'll tell you that. That would be a very bad mark.
Okay, I did Google Scott Erickson Bullwinkle's bathroom. A couple message board things popped up. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but is it fair to say the summary of this is he had an enjoyable experience in the bathroom at Bullwinkle's with a friend?
He had many of those. I do love the thing I saw about 4 years ago. Somebody asked Lisa Guerrero about him. Did you ever see that tweet? And she basically said, "I don't want to have that SOB's name mentioned." She hates
my
him.
gosh.
He was very cool for a while, and she's not a big fan the way it looks. It didn't seem to be an amicable split.
Shocking. No. It didn't work out well with Scotty.
Mm-hmm. How about you didn't talk about the Flowers goal last night? The overtime goal set up by the Flower, man. Gorgeous. Unbelievable. This team's got some magic, but we'll find out. This St. Louis game, big, huh? St. Louis is still one behind us. But I read something. Where did I read it, Declan? Someplace that is saying that the Blues are the most ignored good team in the NHL, and
that's accurate.
They're a team to look out for. So
they just seem to be a kryptonite to the Wild's game too, Pat. They're big and physical, but they also still got some firepower up top, and they can definitely give the. I'd be, if I was a Wild fan, I would rather play the Preds, but I think that's going to be now too far gone. I think it's going to be St. Louis or Wild in the first round. It's just duking it out of who gets the home ice advantage in that series.
Yeah, the Preds are fading. They lost last night. It's going to be St. Louis. They might miss. Just like old times, huh? This is This is how many times have they played them since? How many times have the Wild played them? Just that one time when the Wild got beaten 6?
Twice, right? They lost to them too.
Yeah, twice. They beat them in
15.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Two
Yeah,
times.
that was
But the North Stars used to play him in the playoffs, especially
all the time.
originally,
Yeah,
all the
the
time.
first year of the North Stars, they played the Blues to go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and that was the year that the Met Center people booked the circus, right?
Yes.
Was it a
They
circus?
booted him
right.
out.
So the North Stars had to play 5 of the 7 games in St. Louis. So because we had to make that circus money at the new Met Center place. So yeah, they were the original rivals, and they had some guys we hated, the Plager brothers and a few other guys. So yeah. Blues are. I didn't think they're going to be. They've come a long way, right? They weren't really good the first half, were they?
That's sort of how that's how they operate, though, Pat.
Yeah.
They sort of they get off to slow starts and then creep up from there. So that's their.
The coaches got the same kind of. I look at the two coaches as the same because Berube just kind of got the job because they were mad at somebody, right?
They fired
Yossi.
And Berube took him to the
cup, and then they win the cup, and now Emerson got the job because they, you thought he was going to coach 25 games here, and now 3 years later, he's the best coach they've had. So,
lastly, Pat, does Miguel Sano find his first home run? He is batting 8th today on Friday against the Red Sox, playing at first base.
Yes, we had an ill-timed feature on Derek Rodriguez today. He got cut this morning, and Kyle Garlick is now there. And I am happy for this reason. Derek's a nice kid. I interviewed him 6 years ago in Florida when he was first making the transition. Yep. But we finally have 13 position players on a 28-man roster. Got a 4-man bench now. Wow, isn't that wonderful?
That's the Royce plan.
Yeah, well, the Royce plan would be 12 pitchers and 14 players, but you have to know that Rocco's in a complete panic because now he only has an 8-person bullpen. Can a man possibly survive? No, a 15-person bullpen.
Now,
can a man possibly survive with only 10 relievers? Can he survive?
Are they taking a taxi squad? Because I believe that the opportunity exists in April to carry.
They said they weren't going to.
Okay.
They didn't think so. They didn't think so.
Rocco probably likes the taxi squad idea.
Well, I don't, but he made a good point. They want those guys getting at bats or getting, if there's a taxi squad, all they can do is work out with you. They can't play games. So
I was thinking arms, Pat. I was thinking arms because Rocco is you're right, going to be itching when it comes to the pitchers.
Those Saints, those big wussies, they postponed last night's game. Why didn't they play? It was beautiful.
How about the fact
it had to be almost 28 degrees, wind chill maybe 5. I don't know.
How about the fact, Patrick, that we got a AAA game and a big league game in this town on Wednesday and combined one hit. Congratulations, everybody.
That got way too little publicity.
I know.
That the Twins, could look in the morning and say, well, we swung the bats better than our AAA club, but we got a hit. I saw some people complaining about the Twins' effort on Wednesday that they just weren't involved in the game. That Kershaw slider had a whole lot to do that with it. It was unhittable. It was as good as I've seen him since he was a kid throwing 96. He's a Hall of Famer and he had his good stuff. And we got Miguel. Miguel is not 0 for 19 because of bad attitude. He's 0 for 19 because there's a hole in the swing as big as my bald head underneath Karl-Anthony Towns' elbow. That's the problem. He's got a hole in his swing.
On Kershaw, were you deeply offended that he came out after 7?
I guess I wasn't deeply offended because I knew it was going to happen. And I think if he'd had a normal season last year, they would have let him keep going. But he didn't. He got shut down. He didn't pitch in the playoffs, right? They had to shut him down.
Correct. That is correct.
And so he wasn't great last year down the stretch, and then they shut him down. And because it's not a normal spring and he's coming back from arm trouble, I was not surprised at all. In fact, it didn't seem like Kershaw was upset either. He looked like he thought 80 was enough. Didn't look like, you know what? The only thing is, it might only take him about 12 more pitches to get a perfect game. The way our boys were hitting these, little pop-ups and stuff off him and striking out. But it was, I think he had too many strikeouts early to go all the way, don't you? So that takes a while. But no, I guess I wasn't offended because I knew that's what was going to happen. My friend Suchi is outraged. He's outraged at old school baseball. He's outraged, dude. But I assumed that he was going to get hooked.
All right, sir. We'll talk to you on
All
Monday.
right. Have a good Easter, fellows. And
You too.
All right.
He is risen. Goodbye.